Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Evo Japan has now concluded, and there's been so many great things that have happened over the weekend, so many great matches, so many great announcements, of which, hey, if you want to check the channel, there's a lot of videos covering everything that happened. But also, now that specifically the Tekken 8 part of Evo Japan is over, we can now finally have the promised big balance patch for Tekken 8 that was always coming, but they said wait until after Evo Japan. And now we finally have patch notes. The patch isn't out just yet, but we do have the patch notes for this big patch, and hey, it is very big. Version 1.04 will go live late in the night of May the 7th. You might be asleep, so basically May the 8th, it'll be live. But yeah, so there's a lot of things going on, and in this video, I just want to kind of cover some of the highlights of everything. Naturally, if you want to check the full patch notes, check the video description, I'll have a link for you there. We're not going to cover every single little thing, because I'm probably going to do that again when the actual patch drops, so why double dip? But I do want to just highlight some of the things I think that are extra important and extra cool. So with the patch, there's going to come the usual stuff you expect. Hey, there's going to be bug fixes. Hey, there's going to be new items for you to buy in the Tekken shop. But there's a whole whack of changes, both universal and character specific. And just to put it out there before we even get into it, they have now already promised another big patch coming in June, stating that the patch in June will basically cover all the characters not covered in this patch, and also that June is focusing more on defensive elements of the game. This patch is more focusing on things that make characters unique or things that are just too overpowered and need to be brought down, basically. And then more universal things and other character-specific changes will come in June. So patch after patch, big patches are coming. Tekken 8 keeps evolving. So a big thing that the patch is addressing out of the gate is throws. So throws getting nerfed. I'm sure you're well aware, if you hit with a counter hit throw, that your throw is just much harder to tech, right? You have a 10 frame window instead of the usual much larger window. So the counter hit throw window is being changed. So it'll now be 14 frames instead of 10 frames, and it will also include some sound effects to make sure you can, like, have a tell that is specifically a counter hit throw versus just, a more normal throw. I know throws in general kind of been a sore spot for a lot of people in Tekken 8 specifically. So this should make your life a bit easier on that front. Also, not this patch, but the next patch, as is specifically worded here, they are enhancing the value of defensive techniques by incorporating lateral movement, as in, sidestepping, stepping, all that kind of stuff, right? Lateral movement strategies and adjustments to battle systems such as throws, heat dash, and all that, right? So I'm assuming what they're hinting at is throws might not track anymore. Because, that's an addition to Tekken 8, where throws track, where a lot of people are not used to that, right? So if it's easier to tech a counter hit throw, and perhaps in the next patch, throws no longer track, then the people who complain about throws will be much happier. For me, I'm pretty good with throws the way they are, honestly. I'm happy about it, right? But for the average player, I'm sure this will work out. Now, Azucena is going to be put through the ringer. She's getting some big nerfs. And let's start with one of them here, 1-1. So 1-1, a very strong 10-frame move. I think everyone will agree on that, right? And it puts her into her stance with, like, massive frame advantage in the enemy's face. So what they're doing here to nerf this is they're making it easier to just step, easier just to evade out of the way, which, okay, fair enough. But the big nerf is they're going to make it -10 on block. So as it stands, it is -9 on block, so you assuredly have lost your turn, but you can defend yourself after the fact. Now, -10 on block means this is going to be a guaranteed punish, which changes the value proposition of the move. I think that's fair to say. And also, specifically on block, there's going to be less pushback on block as well. So just all around, this move, you're going to have to reevaluate your use of it, right? You can kind of swing for the fences with it before, because why not? But now you got to watch out. And keeping on the nerfs here, the other jabs here. So we had 1-1, but out 2-1. So 2-1, also kind of getting a pretty big nerf here. So 2-1 right now, as it stands, is +7 on hit, which is pretty good, right? It's going to be brought down to +3. And as it stands, it's -3 on block. That's going to be made -7 on block. So not punishable like 1-1's going to be, but definitely in full-on lose your turn territory versus -3. Maybe you try to gimmick them out some other way. So as far as like the general basic pokes go, Azucena eating some pretty big nerfs. So Azucena down forward 1-4, another super key, super incredible move for her, also getting nerfed. So down forward 1-4-1, that's getting nerfed. Part of the thing about it is you can delay it like an incredible amount and just, you know, counter hit fish with it. Now you can't delay it as much anymore. Big nerf. The fact that down forward 1-4, like when it connects, the second hit does 17 damage. Like it does almost 30 damage as a natural combo. That's good. That's very good, right? So the kick part's going to do less damage, 13 instead of 17, so overall damage nerf. And they're making it easier to sidestep, which fair enough on that, I suppose, right? But as you can tell, just a lot of core moves are getting nerfed, and, well, let's kind of go to the main event on that. Hey, run 3-2. You know, already been nerfed, then nerfed again, and now we're nerfing it again. So it's going to have 3 consecutive nerfs now. So now, the second hit here, second hit does 27 damage, and, you know, obviously combined does 37, right? So the second hit is going to go from 27 to 20. So you're going to be doing 30 damage overall, basically. So damage nerf, sure, but the big nerf is the frames. So +5, which is, you know, part of the reason why it's so strong, right? +5. And now it's going to be changed to +2 on block. And +2, still plus, it's always good to be plus, yes. But +2 hits more like suggestion territory than enforcing your will territory, like +5 is. So, you know, they've nerfed the tracking, then they nerfed the distance, now they're nerfing the damage, now they're nerfing the plus frames. They're nerfing the crap out of this move, right? Another character, we're not going to go super in-depth with all the characters, like I said, we'll wait for the actual patch to drop. Like Dragunov, his run 2 is also getting nerfed as well. So some of the more powerful run attacks, they want to bring them down a little bit. But yeah, so many of the core Azucena moves are being brought down. June also kind of eating some big nerfs here. So if you look just at the sheet, you're going to see like a lot of up arrows in the balance section, thinking that, oh, she's buffed overall. But there's kind of one really big nerf. So you know the thing where like June has all the cool lasers and stuff like that, right? And it comes at an expense of her health. Like she'll lose recoverable health, all that kind of stuff. But naturally, the game being the way it works, if you hit the enemy a bit, you can recover some of that health. So bully on you, right? The thing about that is they're kind of taking that away a little bit. As it's written here, you will still have some recoverable health for some of these moves, but some of the damage is going to be permanent damage now. You're not just going to be able to get all that health back if you know, combo them or, you know, get a hit in or just force a block string or whatever. You're going to take permanent damage now, it looks like. Now, they do specify you'll never be able to kill yourself, although it's going to be really hard to get perfects with her if it's permanent damage, I think. So that's another weird little trait, I guess. But yeah, that means she does have now actually effectively much less health than the average character. So you will still retain the power of these moves. They're not going anywhere. But you will now deal permanent damage to yourself while you're doing them. So while there's a lot of other little buffs happening in there, that's kind of the big deal. Now, they do state here as well, you know, they're going to, for the next patch, like also rebalance some of those moves with that in consideration. But nerf first, and then the buff can be after. That'll be in June. So play with nerfed June for now, and then June you can see what they really had in mind, I suppose. Bear buffs? Hey, you better believe it. So we got some decent bear changes coming, and also panda specific changes. Kuma, like, is just strictly better than panda. Like, let's call it for what it is, right? So now panda, and specifically the shooting star, the unique heat move for panda, is getting better. So one, for panda, panda can now, while doing the bear roll, panda can now do the shooting star out of the bear roll. So it makes bear roll for panda just much more useful. Also, shooting star is getting buffed straight up as well. So one of the things about shooting star is, as it's written, it's going to get a gigantic damage buff. So the move is 3 hits normally. Those 3 hits do 8, then 10, then 12 damage. Although, obviously, as it combos into itself, it scales the damage, right? But now it'll be 13, 20, 26, so big time damage. It is also going to use less of your heat meter. That's really good. And combine it with the fact that you can do it out of roll, just makes it better, right? Because now you can go roll low, or you can go for roll shooting star mid, which is much safer than your other roll option of roll 2, which is death on block, right? So shooting star being nominally advantage on block works out great. Also, Panda specific, Panda's heat smash, getting a damage upgrade. So 2-hit move normally does 20 damage and 35. Since the combos, it does scale the second hit, right? It'll now do 22, then 40. So just straight damage buff. So as a natural combo, it does 44. It will now be upgraded to 50. Cool. And some other fun things like the hunting grab, the untechable grab will now also take away all the recoverable health of the character. So this is like a trait that like Nina and Shaheen have. Now this is also a bear trait that you can steal all the recoverable health. So that's really cool. It's extra great because like bears are really good at charge damage, like overall, like with the various wind-up moves and just moves that actually do chip, right? So being able to steal that recoverable health is like sizable, especially for a character that's just good at inflicting chip to begin with. And there's other quality of life stuff, like Bear Sit 1 will do more damage, it just makes it more valuable, which is good because it's kind of as it stands. But yeah, so bears, we're getting there. We're getting there. Panda specifically getting some good changes and just general bear quality of life going up. This channel is a big supporter of the bears in general, so I'm a fan. Now, Leroy, oh my god, Leroy's gonna be like a new character almost. He's been given so much. Like, there's little things like, hey, Heat Smash, gonna do more damage. That's always welcome. It's gonna be 50 damage now. That's cool. But things like he's going to get all new moves, or at least repurposed moves. There's going to be so many buffs. Like things like if you're in Hermit Stance, right? Hermit Stance has a sidestep 1+2. And it's actually not bad. It's pretty good. Does good damage and a very, very advantage on block as well, right? Now you're just going to be able to do it from a regular sidestep. You don't have to be in Hermit. You don't have to commit to the stance. You can just do it whenever. And a +7 chip damage move whenever, not bad. Just gotta do sidestep 1+2. That's pretty cool. Also, some good quality of life. The base heat version of your chain punches will actually gain you a little bit of heat. So you're never in the situation where if you get your hit and you go for like the full chain, but then you burned all the heat because the way it works, right? Then you're not allowed to get the heat dash after the fact. Now you always can, as it's written anyway. So that's good quality of life buff. Other chain punch stuff like 1+2, -13 on block as it stands. But it says here increased recovery time on block by 4 frames, which means it would be -9, which means it would be completely safe on block. So that's really cool. And just making a lot of the chain punch stuff better on block here. It says recovery time for the base chain punch, 1+2, reduced by 4 frames, which means it would be -2 on block. And it would be advantage on base hit. And if you want to continue the chain here, so normally -9, definitely lost a turn. It says here reduce the frames by 7 frames. So that means that would also make this -2. So it just makes all the chain punch stuff way, way, way better. And like basically everything that can lead into chain punches, right? So down forward 1+2, -6, reduced recovery time by 4 frames, makes it -2. So that's pretty all right. Things like his parry is back too, right? So parry now recovers your health. Your recoverable health anyways. It won't heal you past that. That's pretty okay. Back 3 is going to do more damage. It's going to do 27 damage instead of 20. It's going to be more plus on block. And this is a move that has a special hit on counter hit. And it's saying that the behavior of the opponent on hit has been changed to match that of the counter hit. So as I'm reading it, it's just going to give you that counter hit state for free. If so, that's kind of big. And it's more big punches, right? Like in your Hermit Stance, 1+2. It's also going to be -2 now instead of the monstrous -9 it is. If it hits by itself, it's going to be plus on hit instead of negative on hit. That's why do we want negative on hit? Like Leroy's just gonna be good. Like, you pick Leroy because you just want to machine gun punch stuff, right? Like you want to go turbo on those punches. And now that, among many other things, is going to be better across the board. So Leroy's quality of life is definitely going up. And finally, last one I want to highlight, and there is a lot of things Once again, the patch notes are in the video description. We'll check every character. We'll get to it when the patch actually drops. But the last thing I want to highlight is Steve. This is the one I've been fighting for a long time because it left me so confused, right? If you ever saw the Steve guide, I spend so much time on this because, like, why does it work this way? So the Lionheart stance, cool stance, right? You can do cool things, you know, cool options, including like the guard break and all that kind of stuff. But it was so fundamentally broken and flawed because in a situation like, say, down back 3-2, you're putting the stance, right? +7 on hit stance. The idea is you do a mix-up now. You got the reward for the hit. It's your turn. The problem is, fundamentally, you have to go through like a million hoops, and the enemy just has to do a power crush and beat everything you do. I get my move in, you go for the power crush, and then option 1 loses. Option 2 loses. Option 3 loses. And you only get 3 options, right? So we were forced to come up with this weird, effectively broken, buggy counterplay of once you're in the Lionheart stance, where basically once we're in the Lionheart, we're canceling in the ducking. And then we cancel the ducking into peekaboo by like kind of plinking it. And then from peekaboo, then we're allowed to block because you can't block in ducking, but you can block in peekaboo, right? And that's actually being taken away now. That's a bug fix, but it's being taken away. But that's fine because Lionheart now works as intended. All these Lionheart situations that would leave you at +7 on hit specifically, now will leave you at +8 on hit. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but it's exactly enough to beat reversal armored moves. Like say Steve's going to use his Heat Smash. And Heat Smash forces Lionheart like the rest do, but it's +8, right? As it currently stands. So when it's +8, 2 of your 3 options are still going to lose. Stand 2 is still going to lose. And 1+2 is still going to lose. So you think, okay, well, what's the point, right? Because Lionheart 1 at +8 and only +8, not at +7, will win against a Power Crush. So here we go, right? +8, Mash 1, that wins. That wins. That beats the Power Crush. So now if all the other options that force you into Lionheart against your will, and I know that sounds bad, but it's kind of a bad situation, right? So now these other options, that means Lionheart 1 will beat a Power Crush if you do the Power Crush right away. Which means you can now enforce your will and make it a mix-up again. And it makes moves like down back 3-2, which should be one of his better moves. It makes it actually usable in my opinion, right? Versus if you do this, someone just swings back with a Power Crush and then you gotta go through a million hoops. So this was one of my biggest problems with Steve out of the gate. It's addressed, it's fixed. Like you don't get all your options, but now you know if they specifically go for the Power Crush, then Lionheart 1 will beat the Power Crush option. And then we can start building mind games from there. So that's all I really wanted out of Steve. Steve obviously deficient in other areas as well. Maybe that'll be fixed in the future. But this was the part of the character that felt broken in a bad way, right? So I'm very happy this is addressed. So yeah, overall, cool patch, lots of changes. I didn't cover every single character because I just don't have the time right now at the moment. Got other pots on the stove, as it were. But when the patch comes, don't worry, I'll do my best to break everything down. But this is a big deal patch. Lots of really strong changes. Some the nerfs, like the Azucena nerfs, they're hitting her hard. They're not playing around. This is no slap on the wrist. They're hitting her hard, right? But then again, some of the other buffs, like what's happening to Leroy, are really, really big, right? And the fact that we have this, not everyone's getting changed, but now the confirmation that in June there'll be another sizable patch that where everyone who isn't, you know, tweaked up one way or another here, they'll get theirs in June, right? So I'm a big fan of the constant updates. No fighting game launches at its best, you know, out of the gate, right? Things always need to be tweaked. And I'm happy we are having a formula moving forward where there's constant evolution of what's going on in Tekken 8 versus say, you know, we're only finally a year later getting our patch, our big patch anyways, for Street Fighter 6. So good times, looking forward to seeing more, and I think this is objectively good for the health of the game overall. So that said, that is the video. Let me know what you think about the patch in the comments below. Once again, check the video description for the full patch notes. And other than that, well, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Tekken.